Hi, I'm Ashley Shaw. I'm a principal dancer with Matthew Bourne's New Adventures for the show Edward Scissorhands, where I'll be playing Kim Boggs and also Joyce Monroe.
Hello, my name is Liam Mower. I am also a principal dancer with New Adventures, and I'll be playing the role of Edward Scissorhands.
This is a really special one for me.
I think it's your favourite.
I think it might be, and it's really hard to say that because there's so many good ones, but it does often win when I get asked that question. And you know, it's really hard to put my finger on why it is so special, but I just think the story's so magical and beautiful. The score is incredible. That gets me every time. It's just a really beautiful story that I love being part of.
If you are big Tim Burton fans and big Edward Scissorhands fans of the movie, like, this is definitely the show that you would love and enjoy. And I love the story too. I just think it's so moving and so beautiful.
Yeah, and Terry Davis has actually extended the score as well, so you get like even more of that amazing music that Denny Elfman originally wrote. It's been a couple of years since we've actually performed together, so it's exciting to come back. Matt is a huge movie buff. He kind of directs and choreographs like a movie on stage, I would say. So particularly with this one, it's really great to be working with him again.
He just allows you the freedom as an artist as well to sort of portray a role in your own way. And he always says, you know, it's as long as it feels truthful to you, then that will sort of come across in your characters.
He really is wonderful at bringing out the best in people. And like you said, allowing the freedom for them to be that version. You know, as you said before, 2 or 3 people play each role, and, you know, people are not the same, and he doesn't expect us to be, and he allows us to find ourselves within the character, which, like you said, just brings out the most authentic performances.
I think for me, once you get the costume on and you're sort of like that moment where you're like ready to go on stage, I think that's when it all falls into place for me. I think that's always been the case for me as a performer. Like, I can only take it so far in the studio. Once I get on stage and I'm in an auditorium, like, my focus then starts to feel different, and then obviously like getting into character and getting the makeup and the costume and the wigs, that's when it sort of starts to come alive for me. When you get the hands on and the gloves and you just get a feel for them and how they move, I think you immediately start to sort of embody what it's like to be Edward.
Yeah, whereas for Kim, again, I love getting into costume and the wig. It's kind of like that cherry on top and you finally feel ready. But I suppose she's a little closer to me than Edward is to you in terms of look. You know what I mean? So I can whack a ponytail on in the rehearsal. I can wear the little skirts and stuff and try and start to feel like her a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely getting into costume, so a real treat. And obviously, yeah, with the duets, you don't have, obviously lifts and things are done with your hands most of the time. So these duets are really different, and it's actually created some really beautiful choreography that maybe you wouldn't have come up with without the use of the hands. And we do a lot of things where I like balancing on his shoulder or things because he can't use his hands. So it's, it's a really unique experience, but it's really quite special. My personal favourite scene is one that I mentioned earlier, actually, which is the ice sculpture duet. I don't know, it's a really lovely kind of quiet moment where, again, it's just me and Liam on stage, Kim and Edward. And I'd say it's the turning point for Kim when she really starts to see Edward for someone really special. And I think that's where their kind of love story really starts.
There's always something quite nice about returning to a production. You sort of look at it differently. It feels different, even though it feels familiar in your bodies. But I'm super excited to dance with Ash. She's one of my favourite partners. The production is directly inspired and taken from the movie, from sort of smaller ideas and little like nuances and little things that happen in the movie to, you know, the big fantastical scenes and big moments in the story that sort of drive it, you will find in the production.
one to think about is the ice sculpture scene where Kim comes out of her house and Edward's made an ice sculpture of her and is kind of creating snow by making that, and it's really magical and beautiful. And I think it'd be really disappointing if that wasn't also in our stage version. So you get everything you want, but then it's also like obviously different and made our version. So get a bit of both.
And there's the barbecue scene as well, which is like another iconic scene in the film, where Edward meets everybody for the first time. The whole world stops for a second and all you can see is Edward and Kim meeting for the first time. And I think there's definitely sort of a spark or a moment of like, who is this creature? He's got that feeling that he's not had before. And he's starting to sort of develop his own characteristics and starting to find himself within society a little bit. And he looks like scary, and he looks intimidating, and he looks dangerous. Inside, his heart and his soul is so innocent and childlike. And that's the sad thing about the story, is people just completely misconceive him as a person. Also, the magic of the story is acceptance and him being sort of accepted into society and as a human being.
Back in 2014, I played Kim Boggs then as well. So it's good kind of going into it knowing our characters quite well already. Film is always a good starting place. We go back, revisit it, see what characteristics, things we can bring out of that. And we do a lot of research at New Adventures. So it's not only Edward Scissorhands, the film. There's like each character will have references from so many different films and YouTube clips and books and things. Well, something quite new for me is this new role that I'm doing in Joyce. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Haven't played 2 roles in a long time. So kind of that's going to be a really different experience for me on this tour. And then just taking this show on the road, like we do with all our shows, just getting to share it with as many people as possible. Well, we're going to Hull, aren't we, which is your hometown, and I've actually never performed there. So again, it's a new experience, a new theatre. So I'm quite excited for that, which I imagine you are as well.
I'm like buzzing because I was such a home bird. And when we took Swan Lake there to Hull a few years ago, it was just so special. There's just nothing quite like it to perform to a home crowd. It's
really exciting this time around because, I mean, this show is so great because there's these like adult characters. There's a lot of opportunity for kind of older dancers to be part of this production. Really personally special for me is Kerry Biggin, who was the original Kim Boggs, who created the role. So to kind of get her gems and nuggets is really special. And now she's back to play Peg, who's Kim's mother, which is like a really nice kind of graduation type thing. And then Etta Murfitt is back as well, playing Peg Boggs, also Kim's mother. So it's a really special relationship we get to have on stage, which is so exciting.
With Edward sort of being a bit of an outsider as a character, I think people can relate to the story so much in some way. We've all sort of felt like that. And I think that's what's sort of relatable to audiences.
The story, the score, the sets, the costumes, the cast, it's kind of, it all comes together and it's just the most magical piece of theatre.
But especially at Christmas time, it's going to be such a great production to come see. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, come see us.